Welcome to the Startup Grind.
Thank you.
All right, Chris, you ready?
Always.
Okay. Happy New Year, by the way.
Thank you.
All right. Gazelle Sports has been going for about 30 years. 1985, is that correct?
That's right.
All right. So you were pretty young when you actually started Gazelle Sports. So let's go back in the day in 1985 and listen to yourself talking about why would you start a company at such a young age?
Well, great question, because at that age, there's a lot of different things going through your head in terms of what the hell am I going to do to make my parents proud, to make so that I can move out of their basement and all that kind of stuff. So actually, kind of going a little bit before that, I am a Western Michigan University graduate, 1982, and one of my cross country and track partners here, Al Stefanski, who is the owner of 4 businesses here locally, is here. So he graduated with me. He was a lot brighter than me, so he knew what he was doing. So I was going to Western and studying biomedical science and chemistry. I was like, I'm geeked on science. I love science. Headed off to medical school. Placed really well in the MCAT, but was a little bit tired of school. And had been doing this running. I was really interested in health and running and just how to interact and help people be healthier. And so I was working in a little running shop. And not knowing really what I wanted to do, but learning that what I like to do is talk to people about what inspires them about being fit and being healthy. And I was thinking, wow, that is actually what I wanted to do as a doctor. And that's so following that up, it was like I was working closely with a gentleman named Bruce Johnson, who was my first partner. And we put together a business plan. We had no idea what business was, but somebody told us, put together a business plan. And so we put together a business plan. It was 60-some pages, projections and market analysis and all kinds of stuff. And we were like, okay, we're going to do this business. And we wanted to do a business that was going to impact the health of our customers. But also, we wanted to be the very best. We were both competitive athletes, so we were really focused on being the best. So it brought these things together of my interest in health, my interest in competition, being the best, and my interest in running and fitness, and my love for Kalamazoo. I have to add that because I grew up in Kalamazoo pretty much. And I love Kalamazoo, and I loved West Michigan, and Kalamazoo was just such a wonderful place. So I wanted to be in the heart of Kalamazoo, which is downtown Kalamazoo. So a little bit, I'll just kind of forward you into the business thing. Was crazy because we had this great business plan, and we present it. I put on my one sport coat and my one tie, and I had a Fuji bicycle at that time, and so I might ride the Fuji bicycle to the bank. With my sport coat, put it on, and then present this 65-page business plan, and the guys would be like, "Wow, that is tremendous," and we're going to, take this, up, and then we'll get back to you in 2 or 3 days, and we'd be like high-fiving each other, and then 2 or 3 days we were like, "Well, really, you guys, you got retail's tough, it's too high a risk, we can't give you any money." So we did that 7 times and had 7 zeros. So
real quick, let's step back.
Yeah.
What is Gazelle Sports then?
Oh, great. Yeah, there's a lot of people that maybe don't know. Gazelle Sports started in 1985, and what we really focused on was selling footwear and apparel for people that were runners and also people that were into other activities. Like at that time, there was a big thing called Jackie Sorensen aerobics. Stuff like that, so you have to be pretty old to remember that stuff, that leg warmers and stuff like that. So, but we did those sort of things. So it was all kind of oriented around sports and fitness, primarily the fitness individual sports that we would do. So we continue to evolve and kind of utilize different things as things came up. for a while, rollerblades were huge. We brought in rollerblades because people were getting out and being active on rollerblades. So we did those sort of things. So we kind of moved around, but we always had running as our core. And as you may know, running has boomed in this country, and we wanted to be part of that right here in West Michigan, and certainly grew it here in West Michigan. So we were very actively involved in growing running and being an active fitness place, a hub in West Michigan.
But that wasn't the case back in 1985, right?
Well,
you actually had to help move that along.
Correct. So there was a lot less runners at that time, but they were happy people because they had this thing going on called endorphins, and so we were all kind of high on that. So it was fun to be around. So there weren't many people, but we knew it was a niche that people wanted to have A, great product, and B, great service. They wanted to come and talk to people that were like them, right? So if you're into an activity or a hobby or whatever, it certainly is nice to go into a place and talk to somebody that knows what you're into. And so we had that niche. So the day we started was December 7th in 1985. Bruce opened the store with some friends and family, and then I was out at a run called the West Hills Run and Chill, and I ran it, and then afterwards I got on the microphone. You can tell I like microphones, and invited everybody down to our grand opening sale. So that started us off with a bang. So we were immediately engaged in the niche community, and then we were like rocking and rolling, ready to go, just in terms of building that audience.
So Bruce was with you then?
Correct.
So do you think you could have done it alone?
I do not think, I think it's great to have a partner. I really do, and I know there's partnerships that succeed and partnerships that fail. To have somebody that we can bounce things off of, and to really help complement some of my strengths I had, and Bruce had certain strengths. So to complement that, those was very good, and just the camaraderie. In early days, there were times there was nobody in the store, and it was just us, and we'd talk and have that camaraderie. So it was definitely a help, and we both wanted to learn as fast as we could about how to do better business. So we both, and Bruce had a great vision about how to deliver customer service at a very high level, and so his vision is still certainly part of Gazelle Sports.
So you guys didn't have a business background. So how did you supplant that? How did you actually find people that can help you understand what you need to do on the accounting side or the finance side and the marketing sales side?
Right, so I was a science guy, and then Bruce, he was a philosophy degree major from K College. So, so what did you do with philosophy degree major from K College? I'm not sure, but go Hornets. But so we actually were encouraged to sign up for Small Business Development Center. At that time was at the Stryker Center at K College, and we were encouraged to take a class there called the 1-Year Entrepreneur. And so this was about 6 months into our business. We signed up for this. A guy named Tom Bresnow, who's now a consultant, but he's a very great business guy. He guided us and mentored us on business, but that was really probably the best thing we did. We also were in downtown Kalamazoo, and people were like, wow, how come you guys are coming downtown Kalamazoo? Now this was in 1985 when everybody was moving out or had already moved out. And so the people that were in downtown Kalamazoo still thought, well, that's great, a new business, new young guys. And so we would ask these older gentlemen and older women, like, can you give us some advice? And they always said yes. So one of the things that I learned quickly is that to ask for mentors, like ask for someone to help you. And if you're in Kalamazoo and you love Kalamazoo, you want to see it succeed, you're probably going to say, yeah, let's get coffee, or I'll take you out to breakfast, or so it really was a great thing to learn that there was a culture in downtown of business people that were ready to help two young guys that had no idea what was going on in business. So those two things I think were critical.
So mentors, and in that 1 year course you had the SBDC.
Yeah, we had to take it 2 years. Yeah, so we knew we needed another year. We did. We took it 2 years.
So let's fast forward 30 years then, and see where you are now. How big are you? What is the size of Gazelle Sports, and what has happened in the last couple of years to be some of your best years now?
So yeah, that's a lot in that question. So if I keep going and you want to stop me, that's fine. So we now have 6 different business units. We have the 3 Gazelle Sports stores. They're all C Corps. We have a team division which sells to teams like soccer clubs, volleyball clubs, to universities and stuff like that. So we have a team division that's an S Corp. And then we have New Balance Grand Rapids, which is out in Granville, that sells New Balance product, which New Balance is a manufacturer in the United States that sells footwear primarily, and they wanted to partner with retailers like us that were really knew their area. So we have a New Balance store in Granville. And then last year we started a Lole store, and Lole is a women's active apparel line, very much if you know what Lululemon is. They're like them. We think they're a little bit better. So we started a women's boutique in Grand Rapids called Lole Grand Rapids. And we do e-commerce also, but that's not really a division. So we have multiple things going on. We have about 175 employees, and we're about a $6 million company.
So a lot of distractions?
Yeah, there's a lot of distractions, yes. So, but the thing, let me continue. So the thing that we actually, I think one of the smartest things we ever did is we knew we needed to plan. And so we started back in the 90s to do strategic planning. And at first we tried a couple different consultants, and then we tried to do it on our own, and we were doing this in 2 and 3 year cycles. But that strategic planning became better and better. And now our strategic plan is with a leadership team of 24 people in our company. We have a strategic plan for Gazelle Sports. We have a strategic plan for New Balance. We have a strategic plan for Lole, strategic plan for Team Gazelle. We have a strategic plan for several departments within Gazelle Sports. And so the strategic planning actually, and the way that we go around developing the strategic plan and then reviewing and updating it, has been critical to our success, very critical. For this year, we implemented more quickly than ever the ideas that we had a year ago, and the teams that we developed around those ideas were very quick to implement, and we're more. Not only are we more successful this year, even in a stressful year, we're actually primed for growth. And we're actually going to add 2 new stores in this 2015. So we're going to add 2 new Gazelle Sports stores in 2015. So we're very excited. We're very prepared because of planning and because of great talented people that are ready to implement and then adapt, of course. So you can't just implement and not evaluate and adapt. Yeah, one of the things about Gazelle Sports, I came from teachers. My parents are teachers, Western profs. So teaching and learning has been part of my life all along. It's one of our values is learning. And so we, even during like recessionary times and down times for our business, we always had a lot of learning, training. So we train our employees more than anybody else in our industry. We know that. And we have trainers as employees that are training people as they onboard, but then ongoing. So onboarding is important, and that's what John's talking about. One of the things that I do is I still do one of those we call World's Best Customer Care, and I provide that training to every employee that comes through Gazelle Sports or any part of our business, so that I meet them, they understand what we're all about, the values and stuff, and then why we're doing what we're doing and what our business model really means to create a great customer experience, because that's, at the end of the day, brick and mortar stores, or even our team, Gazelle, you have to have great customer experience. And I think that's critical. So we call it world's best customer care. And that's a little bit of like, we want to be gold medal, we want to be the best. That's still part of our kind of competitive nature.
Can you give a specific example?
Of world's best customer care? Can you give a specific example?
I can, but I'm not going to answer that question.
Well, I'll give you, there's examples every day. We do nightly emails that we track customer complaints, which we get some, and that's important because then we learn what to do with those. And then also customer compliments and great customer care. I'll tell you one, there's so many, but I got an email a little while ago that was about one of our assistant managers in Kalamazoo, and this woman said, "Hi, I'm X. Do you remember me? I was the one that was the nose-pierced, overweight girl that you helped yesterday, that has been so scared to ever walk into Gazelle Sports, and you made me feel so at home, and you helped me, get into these ugly shoes that now I've used." And she ran a whole minute for the first time in her life, and she wouldn't run in front of somebody. She was out behind a school, and she said, "I'm still that fearful girl that is scared to show herself, but hopefully one day I'll be running with you at run camp." And that's the kind of thing we want to do. We want to inspire people to move and be healthy. And she went on, about how she felt about just that interaction with this one employee that we have. And that's what we want to do. We sell shoes, great, but what we're really trying to do is inspire movement through great customer experience. And that's our brand. Our brand promise is all about inspiring movement through this positive relationship-based experience. And I do want to say something about business. Business, all of us need transactions, right? We all need to have cash flow, and we all have to have sales if we're in business. You have to be tenacious about that, and I'll probably talk about that a little bit later. But the thing is that, if you go into Target, you can buy a lot of great stuff in Target. And I walk into Target, I buy stuff, and I go to the cashier, and I don't know their name, and I just give them the money or slide a card through, and I'm gone. And that's a transaction, and that's fine. But I think most of us would prefer if we were dealing with someone that cared about us. And that's a relationship transaction. And that's what we try to do at Gazelle Sports. And that's what I think a lot of local companies try to do, whether they're in retail or wholesale or manufacturing or anything, or service industry, is about a relationship. Rhino Media, that's a good example. We have a great relationship with Rhino. I talked to Kevin and Angel, and it's just great to have that kind of relationship-based experience in a sea of just transactions that people don't really care about you. And so I still believe in that model of business. So hopefully enough people still believe in that model of business, and it's not just click online. It's about having a great experience in a brick and mortar place.
So that brought out some emotions in you, Chris, there. Now, you started the company to put your values in the company. Can you elaborate on the culture and the values that you brought personally into the company that are still there to this day?
Yeah, luckily, that's probably the best thing I ever did in terms of really not understanding business. But now when I read Jim Collins, when I read Patrick Lencioni, when I read these great authors about what is it at the core of great businesses or lasting businesses, it's their values, the values that they have, and the alignment with those values through the entire company. Those companies grow, they last, they're more profitable, tend to be. So lots of studies around that. So one of the things that we did is we wrote down our philosophy and wrote down kind of our goals, which were value goals. We didn't call them that, and then in the mid '90s, we had learned enough to say, well, this is really just kind of a philosophy. We need to write a mission statement. So we had all of our company, at that time there were probably 70, 80 people. We had them all read Raving Fans, which is a really quick book to read, Ken Blanchard, real quick. And it really highlighted, and we went through a 10-month time of having staff meetings about that book, and then staff meetings about, well, what are our values, what do we believe, and what's our mission? And so that's how that came out. And so our values and our mission are still the same. And it's really about, like our first line in our mission is, at Gazelle Sports, we actively pursue, encourage, and celebrate a healthy lifestyle. So that's what we're trying to do. That's the what, that's the why. That's the first thing you learn at Gazelle Sports. And the values that we have are things that I believe in my core are important for me, certainly, but also important things to behave, the way we behave together. And what I teach is that values aren't something that you're hoped to do. Like, I really believe in honesty, but I'll never tell my wife that I'm here tonight. Well, that's not really value. That's like, well, you're hiding that, you're lying about that, that's not a value. You hope to be honest, but you're not really doing that. So what values are is the way you behave together always. And that's corporate values, certainly, or organizational values. You can have personal values. So our values, we teach and train, and then we talk about, and they're part of the hiring process, they're part of the performance review process, they're part of the weekly trainings and the huddles we have in the morning. So there's always a values part of what we're talking about. And I think that aligns people and makes them feel good about where they work. And some people leave because they're not quite into that, which is fine, but you want people around you that have those kind of values. So I love talking about values, and we actually teach it in our company.
A couple things here to add on to your answer there, Chris. One, how many hours do you put your staff through compared to competitors? And then second of all, how do you measure performance in your company?
So if you're coming in as a salesperson, you get about 65 hours of training to onboard, and that's compared to 4 to 6 hours for our competitors. So it's about 10 times the amount of training that people get. And then we train weekly throughout the year, and so you're continually training. It never stops really. So people go through between 90 and 120 hours of training a year after they're onboarded. One of the things that we've implemented out of our strategic plan actually was doing strength finders, and I know some people here know about strength finders. We use strength finders as both a personal and professional development, and people love it, and people are talking about it, and people are using it to become better aware of themselves, better teammates, and it's really helped the performance of the stores too.
So how's an organizational performance? The
Yes.
triple bottom line is what you like to talk about. Can you kind of explain how you actually implement that? Has that actually been beneficial to the company? And how does that play into the B Corp that you're starting to implement over the last couple of years?
Yeah, so I was talking to a couple of people about B Corp. We became a B Corp, it's called Benefit Corporation, in 2013. And I had heard about this company, or this nonprofit called B Labs. They're out of Philadelphia. And what they developed was high analytical measurement tool to look at the way you perform both as financial transparency and governance of your company, which is important. It's like how do you work financially for yourself, and how do you govern your company, and then also social impact. So how do you treat your employees? What do you do for your community? How do you engage with people? And then environmental sustainability. What are you doing for your place that you love, and also for the globe? And so it's really easy to say, oh yeah, we're triple bottom line, or we believe in this, but then to actually have a measurement tool that thousands and thousands of businesses taken, and to see how you do against other businesses was a thing that I wanted to do. So it's kind of like what leads certification is for buildings. That was what we did with, it's called B Corp, and there's a quick assessment that's free to do. You can do the quick assessment, which is 30 questions, and just kind of get a sense of it. But the bigger one is a 300 question, and you have to get it all validated and things like that. So I wanted to do it just to measure our company. How are we doing in these areas? Because I thought, well, I know we're doing really good with social impact, but I'm not sure about the financial transparency governance, and I'm not sure about the environmental stewardship. Well, we came out okay, and we did get certified, but long way to go, and we're learning so much from the other people that are in that. Patagonia is one, for example. Patagonia, if you know Patagonia, they're extremely they're focused on being a responsible company, and one of the founder, Yvon Chouinard, has done, of course, so much for changing not just people but systems around his products, so that what he sells. But his nephew, who's part of the company, wrote a book called The Responsible Company, and it's a real quick read. It's really, really good, and for people like me that want to be a responsible company, we have a group of us that meet. We're the do-gooders alcoholics. So we say, I am a do-gooder, and we're in a 12-step program. But anyways, his book, Vincent Stanley, he's going to come next May. We're going to have him in this coming May to talk about that. So B Corporation, B Lab is a growing movement around the world that is all about, this is a different way to look at business. Yeah, we can all measure the finance, and we can see, how we are doing financially, and that's important, absolutely. I really believe business is the force for good. It can be. It's not up to government. It's not up to nonprofits. It's not up to the religious, the congregations and stuff. I mean, they all play a place, but business can actually be the main source of changing culture and social good if you focus on it. And the great thing about this is they're doing all kinds of measurement that shows these companies are succeeding faster, they have better cultures, they're growing even during the recession, a lot of growth, and they're more profitable. So they're seeing a lot of outcomes with this that they're measuring. So we're grateful to be part of it, but mostly it's about learning how to be better internally.
So how does that affect profitability in the company, and who cares about that in terms of who the owners are now? Because Bruce is actually no longer an owner. It'd be interesting to see how that partnership actually grew for the last 30 years. Yeah,
so Bruce wanted to leave, I think it was 6 years ago, and so we purchased him, or I purchased, the company purchased him out, which was one of those most difficult times, is you're a pretty emotional time to say, hey, you're my founding partner, and we're basically separating. And I knew it was fine to do, but it's still very emotional because you're somebody that has been with you for that long and been in the trenches and spent hours and hours with me. So that was difficult. But I do have two other partners, and again, these partners have come on board at different times. As we grew, when we developed the Grand Rapids store, which was our second store, we knew at that time we were thinking the model is to have a minority owner in that business, and so we brought somebody in from the industry that became our partner. He's still my partner, and since then we've kind of made it more of an equal partnership. And then Jean Sequit, who is here locally, she is our CFO, and in 1990, I think, we got a state grant for kind of emerging companies, small companies, to look at our weaknesses, and it was pretty apparent that it was a long document, but it was pretty apparent that our biggest weakness was finance, because we didn't really know finance. We were just kind of cruising along, but we were like bumpy in terms of profitability and all kinds of really process and standards and stuff like that. So she came in as our finance officer, and then after that time became a partner. So it's important to have partners that I think are not yourself, that they are actually kind of very different and are able to build up your weaknesses. So both Ken and Jean are very different than me, and we each have strengths that are quite different. And so Jean wouldn't be up here talking on a microphone for sure, but she's making sure all of our systems work and our finance works and stuff like that, and our IT and things like that.
You all have the same beliefs and values, so it goes back.
Belief and values for sure, yeah. So so on the B Corp thing, in terms of that was a big discussion. It's like, hey, why don't we just do this? Like, let's just be role models and let's just do it. Why measure ourselves, and why be part of this organization? But what we decided was we want to not just do it, but we want to be part of this growing movement of peers to learn from each other, but also to say this is a different way to do business. So I don't know if anybody is aware of Cascade Engineering, but Cascade Engineering out of Grand Rapids at one point was the largest B Corp. I think Patagonia is bigger than them, but Cascade Engineering, they do some incredible things. I can't tell you all the incredible things, but they are a great example of how to be a manufacturer and care about your employees, care about the social good, and make plenty of money, and the environment.
I'm going to ask one more question before I open it up to the audience here. Do you still have time to run?
I run for my mental health and kind of my spiritual connection. And so I still run. It used to be 5 or 6 or 7 days a week. It's down to 3 days a week. And then I work out and I train because, as Mary Grace would know back there, she's, bodies, suffer from all kinds of things, and you have to refix them and retool them and stretch them out better and keep them strong. So running isn't the best thing just to do alone. So I work out with a personal trainer, and I do some yoga.
So no 9:17 2 miles?
No, that's right. Yeah, he knows my time. You can go look at it in Loy Norrick's high school gym. So, Al, do you have your record in Grand Blanc? Okay, all right.
I'm going to open it up to the audience here, so I'll pass the microphone around, and you get to ask questions of Chris. So, who would like to ask the first question?
Have you been pretty much that all self-funded, or maybe bank funded along the way?
So we were obviously self-funded to begin with, and I'll go a little deeper in the story. So we had hoped to raise about $175,000 from the bank to get started. We actually raised about $50,000 from friends and family, and so we were really undercapitalized. But after a couple of years, we went to actually less than a couple of years. After about 18 months, we went to the bank and were able to capitalize get a loan and get a credit line because they saw our business was growing, and it was small, but it helped start a relationship that turned into a very important way to access funds. So we have continued to have bank debt for growth. So we haven't gone out and looked for investors. We've actually used bank debt. Now, so at this point, though, in the cycle of Gazelle Sports, so that we're going to open 2 new stores in 2015 here, we're going to be able to take out very little loan for that. We'll be able to self-fund the majority of those projects.
Do you happen to know whether the B Corp you've been talking about is similar to the L3C, wherein the company, which is a limited liability company, has to put first the benefit to the community, and second, you can make as much money as you can make, but it's dedicated, and it does have some nonprofit characteristics along with for-profit characteristics?
I'm not familiar with that, the LC3, so I'm not sure. So B Corporation, there are 28 states that have legislation where you actually then change your articles of corporation of incorporation. You add 3 pages that say these sort of things, so it's in your articles of incorporation. Michigan is not one of them, so it's too bad. So we're a benefit corporation, meaning a B Corp, because we've certified to that level, but we're not legally that. So there's not a legal part of, we're still C Corps and S Corps.
Well, shall we get Michigan to do it?
I think so. The thing that I think is that this is a very conservative idea, that business is the place to provide the right solutions for social, for the environment, for it's business. So to me, it should be this legislature and this governor should be like, wow, this would be a great thing to have business lead, because then it takes pressure off of government, off of nonprofits, off of other places that we need to take pressure off of. So to me, this would be the perfect time to do it. There's a group called the Michigan Chamber of Commerce that is extremely against it. I don't know why, but we think that it's a very appropriate business decision, not a feel-good social decision. This is a business decision about how to run a business in a very profitable way.
Question for you regarding the new organization On the Move, Kalamazoo. How is that associated with Gazelle Foundation, I believe? And can you tell us more about that?
Okay, so well, thank you. Yeah, that's a great question. I'll give you some money afterwards, I guess. So one of the things that we didn't talk about is we did start a foundation last year. So we have a 501c3 called the Gazelle Sports Foundation. And what the Gazelle Sports Foundation is what we're going to focus on is structure in organizations that help activate people that are in need of help to become active and become more fit. So it might be trail systems, it might be clubs, it might be groups of people, and so the foundation is all about giving money on an annual basis back into the communities that we serve for underserved people or places that can connect with barriers to health and fitness, primarily fitness. So, because there's a lot of parts of health, right? So then On the Move Kalamazoo, we started, but Gazelle Sports isn't necessarily going to be the leading this. Gazelle Sports is part of a growing network of organizations in Kalamazoo that are putting together ways to help groups do exactly that. And so we're actually helping fund and helping plan. Our pilot project actually is with Mount Zion Church. We've helped develop a strategic plan on how to activate that community around in the north side and build a more active community neighborhood there. And we've just started that. That's our pilot project. We've been doing some other support systems out in the community for places like Your Turn, which is a group of women that support each other to be active and to support them emotionally and spiritually and physically. And we've done some things with the Edison neighborhood. We've done some things with Boys and Girls Club. So we're doing these kind of test things to see if this idea makes sense. And what we're finding is when you help lower barriers, people want to be healthy. It makes a lot of sense, but there's barriers, whether it's financial barriers, disabilities, transportation, safety, emotional barriers, motivation, self-worth, excuse me. There's barriers that we have, and this organization is a network of people, experts, and other organizations that want to change our culture and lower those barriers. Because my vision is really, my vision has been that Kalamazoo will be the healthiest city of its size in the nation, and that West Michigan will be the healthiest region. That's been what I've been working towards. That's my vision. That's what gets me up in the morning. And you can't do it by just a bunch of skinny white guys out there running 5Ks or marathons. You know, you have to go a lot deeper than that, and you have to get a lot more diverse than that, and so you have to bring down barriers. The thing about that is those aren't always Gazelle Sports customers. Okay, they may never be Gazelle Sports customers. So as a business, we can't necessarily fund that whole deal. That's a big thing. So it's really a network of people that can do it, not just one organization. So that's the concept, and it's starting to work, starting to have traction. Thanks for the question.
First off, thanks for my last 6 pairs of running shoes.
Thank you.
Can't really tell. 30 years. Can you talk a little bit about some of your biggest challenges that you had to face, and then what you did to overcome those really difficult challenges?
So the biggest challenge was really, I think most entrepreneurs have, is like you're wearing all the hats. You're doing all the things. You know, you're the salesperson, you're the marketing person, you're the stock person, you're doing the taxes, you're doing the hiring, all the HR, you're doing all of that, and yeah, without a business background, without anything, and so you're making a lot of mistakes. And so I think the things to do are some of the things that I said. Find mentors that can help, find resources quickly that can help you learn as fast as you can, but then hire people that offset your weaknesses. So the biggest thing that we did actually that I think changed the course of Gazelle Sports was hiring Jean, because she's so bright at understanding systems and understanding finance. And without that, I think we'd be a fun company, but we'd be in chaos still. So and chaos is fun for a while, but then at 55, it's like it's not fun anymore. So I like systems. So anyways, I think I think that was one of our biggest challenges, and it was one of our biggest successes. I think sometimes entrepreneurs they want to do it all, so that's one thing, and they don't want to delegate, so that's another thing, which I like to delegate, and I like to build a corporate structure that's highly delegated. But the other thing is that a lot of times they're fearful of taking that risk of hiring somebody. When we hired Jean, she was paid more than me and Bruce. I mean, there was no doubt about it. We're going to pay her more. She's worth more than us. That's our need. So you got to be saying, here's where I want to go. What people or what part of this organization needs to have human resources that we can hire in, even though we can't afford it necessarily right now. So I think that. And then the other thing, of course, with every company now is technology, right? So I mean, we made some really bad decisions around technology because we weren't IT guys, and we bought wrong point of sale system, and it failed, and that cost us a lot of money. We hired the wrong web consultant, and that cost us a lot of money. And so those costs, I wish somebody could help us navigate those things, because those were very expensive mistakes. So those are I think the biggest challenges.
Kind of going along with that, you talk about the relationship between you and G, and you guys obviously have a huge community involvement and a sticking true to your values. But have you ever had to compromise keeping the bottom line, in the back of your head at all times, or G, nudging you in the back, like maybe we can't sponsor this event this weekend, or maybe we shouldn't be donating or organizing this run? How do you guys deal with that?
Great question. So if you're in business, you've got to make money. I mean, it's like, it's not, no matter what you believe socially you should do, you do need to be able to have the financial capacity to keep doing it. And so I absolutely think, have we compromised? Yes, we have sometimes, so that we're in an example is 2 years ago, we looked at our community outreach. Now we have 12 people that's what they do. They're part of their job or all of their job just is to do events and to do programs and to do clinics and things that aren't necessarily about selling shoes. They're about engaging people. And we were sponsoring 183 events just in West Michigan. So that's a lot. So we looked at that and we were like, okay, what is really happening here? Because our human resources were taking up more and more of our overall labor and for community outreach, and our donations, or not donations, but our partnerships with those events and other things were actually increasing dramatically. And so we went through, that's why we did a whole strategic plan on community outreach, and we actually lowered them, and the quality is better. We decreased the number of things that we sponsor, but they're better quality. We actually changed some job descriptions. We're now at 10 people instead of 12 for our community outreach. And so we really refocused there, because we were spending too much money on that without the sense of, well, what's the return on that? Because some of them are, you get asked and you just say yes, and it's like, is that really helping them? Or, so anyways, strategic thinking, strategic planning with a group of people that is actively involved, it was helpful.
When I went to K College, graduated in '98, and downtown Kalamazoo was not so happening then, maybe more so than in the '80s, but still walking, mall, place we didn't really go, some soda. So, during those years, did you participate actively in the development of Kalamazoo and, along with the other business owners, or did that just kind of happen around you and as a side?
Well, the first thing we did is we decided to stay open in downtown Kalamazoo. So that was the good thing about downtown Kalamazoo. And then the other thing is the active thing that we were doing was trying to bring more people down for more things that revolved around certainly Gazelle Sports, so there's self-interest involved, but also then would go out and people would hang around and do things. So we were building a customer base, not just for us, but for other places. On the organizational side, there was a point in the early 2000s that I was down the day after Thanksgiving, right? So the Black Friday, and I was walking downtown and going, there is nobody here. I mean, there were plenty of people in Gazelle Sports, but really there were nobody here, and it was like, what is going on? And so I developed an organization called the Downtown Retailers Association, because I said, we got to own this. We can't wait for another organization to help support the retail. Retail, you have to deal with your own problems. So we started an organization, and it still stays involved, and it does events and promotions and educates people in that organization. So that helped, but also I think there are organizations, the city certainly, and DKI that play a part, and I've been actively involved in particularly DKI. I've been on the board for a while. I'm not on the board now, but I am the chair of the Communications and Events Committee, because I think the brand of downtown and the downtown experience is important for all of us as a community, and it's important for Gazelle Sports. So again, some self-interest there, but certainly want to make sure that downtown is growing and thriving and has great beer weeks. Yeah, so that's probably helped more than anything, right? Beer, pubs, so we do pub runs and stuff like that.
Will you elaborate on that a little bit? You mentioned the beer and like the brand that downtown Kalamazoo is kind of forming as of lately. It's the craft beer, the art hops, Gazelle Sports. But where do you see it? Where do you see our brand? Where do you see it going in the next few years?
I think it's an experience brand. I think it is about different people want different experience. You want the local experience. What's the local experience? The local experience is great local beer, great local food, great local environment that I can bring my kids down to, or I can go meet some friends, at Wine Bar or at Gazelle Sports for a Wednesday night run, or whatever. So I think that experience, and everyone kind of has their own kind of experience, but I think that's where it's going. It is not going to be just a retail mecca. It's not. The good news for Kalamazoo, for those of you that have traveled, is Kalamazoo has a decent downtown for the size of community we are, because there's lots of mid-sized communities that you walk up and down and it's hard pressed to find, very many good retailers that aren't just hobbyists and, other kinds of things. So we're lucky in that. So let me pitch real quick. Shop local. But I think that I think that you're going to see more and more that people want to come downtown for an experience versus driving in their car and going to, our competitor like Dick's, or going out and driving in a car and going to, wherever you're going to go to, and then you just get back in the car and go somewhere else, and you get back in the car and go somewhere else. It's like that's a different kind of experience I think we're kind of tired of, where downtown is going to be a real personal, relationship-based experience.
Bill, go ahead, Bill.
Do you think that the medical school is going to make a difference? A big difference?
So is medical school going to make a difference? I think it brings a lot, it highlights downtown in the media. It's a very cool thing in terms of high caliber, high talented people that will come to hopefully love this place. So that's important, ongoing, and faculty and staff and very intelligent people that will engage in their church, in their PTAs, in their schools and stuff like that. I think that's all important. You have to have organizations like that. I'm extremely excited about KVCC and their culinary school and food production and nursing. That's all going to be downtown. That is, I'm a Western guy, but that is super exciting because that is on the edge decision making about how local food and local production can change culture. And I think, I'm big into active fitness, right? But I think local food is a huge movement, and it's going to be just bigger and bigger. So I'm super excited about it. And you guys know that have lived in West Michigan for a while. We're the third most diverse place in the country for agriculture. And it's like, we got to be like, hey, this is an awesome agriculture place that has lots of different kinds of local foods that we should all be experiencing. So I'm super excited about that for downtown.
So to end the interview with Chris, it wouldn't be right if I didn't ask you about tenacity. Tenacity is one of your words that you like to say, other than keep moving.
Yeah,
right? So
keep moving.
The last question, what did you want to talk about in regards to being tenacious?
So, I forget, what's your name?
Laurel.
Laurel. Okay, so you're talking about 1998. In 1995 or 1985 through about, somewhere when we opened that mall up, there were not a lot of people that were coming downtown. There were workers downtown, and Upjohn was downtown, and so and First of America was downtown, and so there was some good noontime business. But at 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock, it just got quiet. And the great thing was we decided in 1988, because this guy named Robert Sprague came in town and said, look, most people are shopping in the evenings and shopping on the weekends, and if you're not open every evening and on Sunday, you're not really in retail, you're just playing. So we decided, okay, we're going to be open, whether we're standing here or not with nobody, we're going to be open every evening, or Monday through Friday, we're going to be open Sundays. So but doing that, the consequence was we have to go out and find customers. So the great benefit of coming into downtown Kalamazoo was, instead of being in a mall where you just wait till someone walks in, is we had a tenacity about finding customers. We would drive to Sturgis and do a clinic and say, come up to Kalamazoo, you 5 people, and and here's a coupon to come to Kalamazoo. We'll pay your gas to come to Kalamazoo. We would go anywhere and find people that wanted to come to downtown Kalamazoo, and we were tenacious about it, and that's still part of our focus. I think businesses, particularly very intelligent people, have great ideas. They just don't know, A, where their customers are, or B, how to go out and get them and keep motivating them to come back. And that's that tenacity that you want to have your customers highly engaged with what you're doing. And so we still have that really high level focus of always not only finding customers but then retaining customers for the experience that we think that they want. The other things that I think, you know, we talked about a little bit is the other thing that I think for a young business is, I think you have to, listen, this is my lesson, is write down if it's a philosophy or a vision or your own sense of what you want. I really believe it's extremely helpful for you to write it all down, journal it all out. Don't worry how it reads to begin with. Just write your vision down. What's the perfect thing for your business to be doing this next week, in 2 years, in 5 years, in 15 years? You know, Jim Collins calls it the BHAG, right? The big, hairy, audacious goal. You know, you want to, where are you going? Write it down. So, because what that does is it helps you align to your goals, but then helps your employees and helps customers, helps the whole community understand what exactly are you all about. So I think having that focus, that vision, and that intention is a huge part of being a successful young entrepreneur or wherever you are in life in terms of being a business, a successful business.
Thank you very much, Chris. Appreciate it.
Thank you, yeah. This was fun.